Hello, Internet. My name is Aqua, and welcome to the Ruby Volume 5, Chapter 11 through 14 podcast Ruby thing. Forgot. With Rebkos.
Ew.
I'm in a new place. It's blue back here now, but I'm still going to point over there, because why not? So, yeah, I had to take a little hiatus because things were happening in my life, and we didn't get a chance to really record chapters 11 through 14, not 13. So we're going to do them all right now, and not a whole lot happened in them, so hopefully we're going to be able to get through this pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is chapter 11 through 14, but it's the final act of this volume, which, you know, for maybe volume 3 was the last 2 episodes.
Right.
So this is just 4 and 1, ready to go.
Yes. So, there are my notes, there are your notes, and so we'll just go ahead and jump right into it with chapter 11, where everybody's walking up to the school.
Yes, the mysteriously very empty school, because there's just a pile of dead bodies in some classroom. What I did really like in this bit was the fact that the full moon is apparently when it's rotated around to a point where that it kind of actually seems to be whole. Like that I just found kind of funny.
Oh yeah, like we've mostly seen the moon from the side, and seeing it from a different angle is certainly really cool. And it shows that their moon actually like rotates. It isn't like our moon that's what is that called?
Oh god. Tidal locked, I think.
No,
I think that's what it
geo something.
Motherfucker, you're gonna make me no, we're stopping and we're looking this up.
It's oh man.
This is your fault. You're gonna have to actually edit this one in great detail. Tidal lock, boy. I was right.
Is it? Well, I mean, there's another name for it though. It's
for example,
the
same side of them. I don't. What?
Because satellites are in geosynchronous orbit. That's what I was thinking of.
No. That's their synchronous rotation. That's one of the things.
Oh, that's okay, yeah. Geosynchronous is when it's over the same spot.
That's geostationary.
Yes.
This is not on topic at all.
That's fine. We're talking about moons.
Though,
anyway,
if we do want to go in this direction, there is some really interesting physics here of how can this shattered body be rotating in such a manner that the chunks don't just fall into the planet. I know this was like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago at this point. I got into a Facebook argument with some guy who was like, well, clearly it's at a Lagrangian point. It's like, motherfucker, you don't even know what a Lagrangian point is.
I do.
Do you understand it fully? Because apparently this guy was a rocket scientist, and I brought a rocket scientist friend into the argument, and it was just, never mind. Anyway, so how about that Ruby show?
Yeah, things happened finally.
Yep, sort of.
So then we get a couple like shots of just the area. Like I said, it was very empty, and then we also get a shot of giant tower, which I can only assume is the CCT.
Which Ruby is eyeballing enthusiastically, and then eyeballing Oscar, hopefully less enthusiastically. And yeah,
certainly.
I mean, we're kind of ominously declaring something is about to happen, but we all know something's about to happen, so it's just kind of a little bit of a shoe leather moment of we're walking along and going, yes, this is the surroundings we're about to attack.
It's like building it up, yeah. So then we walk inside to the main area, and we get a shot of this like statue-y thing, which will come into play later, but I'm just curious if this is actually like a statue of somebody or just like completely decorative. I'm curious if it was like a maiden or something.
Could be one of the founders of the school, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. So walk in, Leonardo
Lionheart.
Yes.
He's
quite nervous. He has his weapon with him, which is like
he's got his weapon, and then he gets uppity about everyone else having their weapons, and it's like, you're not good at this.
No, it's like why do you have your weapons? And I half expected Crow to be like, why do you have yours?
Yeah,
but he didn't. And then Yang looks over and was like, oh, it's Bird. It's Mom.
I So my headcanon right now is every time she encounters a bird anywhere, she just goes, Mom? Just on principle, because it's like, you know what? If she's wrong, no one's ever gonna know. And if she's right, Raven's gonna be like, how did she know?
I mean, it's a good way to do it, really. I mean, this is a bird that she's seen before. Like, we saw her looking at it at the end of Volume 3 as
And
she, like, flew
how
off.
many birds in your neighborhood can you casually identify exactly?
How many birds have red eyes?
That's your... I don't know. This is freaking Remnant. Maybe all of them.
It may be. We've only seen one, though, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we...
And then Crow
and then-
takes the shoot first, ask questions later approach.
I mean, yeah.
I don't
It's a way
blame
to
him.
get things moving. No, not at all.
And then Ruby
So-
tries to convince Raven to join them via the power of friendship and hope.
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work at all.
Mm-mm. So there was... Yeah, and then after... That's what it was. And after that, there was a mention of Summer Rose, finally.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
It's like, oh, you sound just like your mother, bitch.
But it's like, I've been waiting so long to hear, like, anybody talk about Summer ever. And we got, like, a little bit of it in Volume 2. But ever since then, it's like, she hasn't been mentioned, and I feel like she's going to be, like, a big plot point later on. But I'm just waiting on something.
Or
so
just the
glad
biggest
something got
tease of
there.
all time.
It's like she didn't actually have her silver eyes, or she had silver eyes and didn't know how to use them at all, or something. I don't know. So
And then
we find
Fireball.
in Fireball, we find out Leo has been working with the baddies since probably before Volume 1 even.
Yeah. I mean, because they show up. I guess technically they don't get to the school until Volume 2, but yeah, Leo's been
pulling some
not
strings for a
working for the
long
good
time.
guys for a while.
Yeah. Which is weird because I feel like Ozpin would have figured that out at some point, but I guess not. He doesn't seem to be good at hiding things, really.
So this is in my notes for a later episode, but who the hell put Leo in charge of a school? Like,
That's what I was trying to figure out too.
He
He doesn't.
a coward. He's incompetent. Like, every tactical decision he makes from this point on is just a bad one.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem like he's all that great at fighting. Even.
No, he's got his weird, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Weapon thing, which he's bad at, and I
he
don't
gets
know.
shown up by, like, Oscar, not even like Ozpin Oscar.
Yeah,
just
it's not
regular
even Ozpin
later.
Oscar, it's just Oscar. And it's like, who is this guy?
Yeah, it's very strange. By the way, if it seems like I haven't, like, I'm trying to, like, remember what's going on, is because I haven't seen the episode. I don't think either of us had seen it in a couple of weeks now, so...
I mean, I watched it yesterday.
Oh, did you? I probably should have.
Meh. This is what happens when I hadn't taken any notes.
Yeah, that'll do. I took my notes, like, a couple weeks ago, but anyway.
There we go.
So then we get the fight start. Oh, Hazel walks into, I think, first, right?
Yeah, and Hazel
Yeah.
has this line which one of the unfortunate things about us having delayed this is we don't get our initial reaction to the lines as delivered, and we now recognize them in their context. But he comes in and he's like, the White Fang is securing the school grounds. Really? Clearly not. He's like, no one's getting in. It's like, everyone's getting in. The entire population of Menagerie is getting in. And the police. Like, what do you mean no one's getting in? What are they doing?
I completely forgot about that line. Like, that was just a totally throwaway line. I didn't even think about it.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
it's like, yeah, like, everybody
the
does
White
show up
Fang's
later.
got this. And it's like, no, they don't. They very clearly do not right now.
Well, they also have, like, barely any forces from the White Fang there to start out with.
So we've got, like, Adam and his 6 friends, but
Yeah.
supposedly there's, maybe more White Fang who are supposed to be off securing the perimeter.
Yeah,
but
that's true. Off camera and all that.
yeah, I don't know. But it's like this throwaway line from Hazel that, when you, like, watch the episode the first time, you're like, oh no, all of the White Fang are here. This is Fall of Beacon all over again. And it's like, no. They're just completely phoning it in.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe their hearts just aren't quite in it after recent events or something. Who knows?
There you go.
And then we find out Leo's a faunus, which is really cool. See that, like, the headmaster, if he is incompetent and cowardless, at least he's a faunus.
At least
so
he's a
there's
cat.
like some equality there. Yeah. A man named Leo Lionheart's a lion. Who would have guessed?
I know. I've like, and then Cinder taunts him for being a faunus, and it's like, oh, the poor little kitty cat, or whatever her pet line was.
Yeah. So they being Cinder, Mercury, and Emerald come out of a portal after fireballing Ruby,
which was funny. I'm
It is a
sorry,
little
I
funny.
laughed at that. And
It's
frankly,
pretty sudden.
great tactics on Raven's part, and a lot of trust there too, because it pretty much has to be a, hey Cinder, I'm gonna open the portal very abruptly, and the moment I do, I need you to launch a fireball through it and just believe that whatever it hits is what it needs to be hitting.
It's very true.
Like, that's... it's like, just launch a fireball and then walk straight on through. She doesn't know what she's walking through. It may be a fucking cliff.
Just into a volcano immediately.
Yeah, there you go. It's like, oh yeah, this is the plan. Just come on through. Believe me, the portal's going where you want it to.
Just run at full speed. Don't worry about it. Just get
just
all the
go.
way out.
Just
Don't
go.
look first.
It's fine. It's fine.
So then we have the fight start,
And
which is
a pretty solid moment from Jean.
Yeah, it's weird because Ruby goes on about like talking about like, you know, fighting together and all that stuff, and then immediately everyone just like splits up in their own fights, which isn't entirely all their fault, but it is kind of like.
But I mean, we finally get to see Jean having that moment where he should have been yelling at someone.
Yes.
And he chooses to freak out at Cinder. I'm gonna make you pay for what you did. And then she's just like, who are you again?
That was pretty savage.
I had to pause the episode. I was laughing so hard. It's like, no, hold up. Just I need to recover from this moment before continuing.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that quite a bit.
But yeah, then we pair off effectively per the opening sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, this is kind of where the episode fell apart for me, because suddenly there's all these individual battles going on elsewhere, and we're never seeing more than one on any given screen,
and we're always seeing just like one or two hits from it, and they're not really, it's just like generic, like, oh look, we're fighting now kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of anything like really cool happening. And it was actually pointed out to me that Ruby didn't use her semblance, I think, this entire volume. And in fact, when
I'm willing to believe that.
When she had her opening salvo of like just like rushing in and everything, like would have been a great time to use that because she got to get right over there, but then she gets held back by Emerald, and it's like you could have gotten past her super easy if you just but I mean, kids forgetting their superpowers, it's fine.
But I know that's like their thing, though.
It is.
I mean,
it's not
that
fine.
would be like, oh, went to work and forgot my pants today. It's like, no, I don't do that.
And Ruby's semblance, in my mind, is like one of the most versatile and one of the best out of everybody's, except for Emerald's, maybe.
And frankly, probably something that when she unlocked, she used in excess.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
if that were your semblance, I mean, I bet, like, Nora went around, like, sticking her tongue in outlets. Like, there's a couple semblances that once you realize what you got, you're probably just like, look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
and even
Ruby's probably, like, running labs constantly. It's not like Yang can go around being like, hey, beat the shit out of me. See what happens.
Yeah.
Like, no, that one doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. And even in like the earlier volumes, Ruby would just like use her semblance just kind of willy-nilly, like when
dicking around.
she and Weiss first got paired up, she flew around in front of Weiss, and she was just like, what? And he's like, I'm not slow.
Yeah.
So that was kind of sad to see that it's like our, you know, main character of everything wasn't using her superpower, but what can you do?
Yeah, well. And then another thing that happens here, Oscar goes marching on up to Leo to complain. Leo goes, oh, I can turn you over to Salem. And then again, because we've actually seen the rest of the volume, when Leo actually, you know, is getting his ass handed to him by the floating ball, he's going, oh, the crow showed up, student showed up, oh, it's not my fault, Cinder changed the plan. It's like, why are you not mentioning Ozpin?
I didn't think about that either. Maybe
Like,
he had like a kind of like change of heart, like I don't want to let her know that Ozpin is here
and
quite
again,
yet.
he just tactically sucks, because in that moment he was like, oh, I can run away, I can still be helpful to you, you're not responding, let me attack you, oh, let me apologize sort of badly, and I'm dead.
And he couldn't even take out one Grim. Like, that wasn't Salem he was fighting, that was a Grim.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do anything about it.
Like, who put this guy in charge of a school?
Ozpin.
Why?
We know who did it. Maybe he used to suck less. Who knows? He's like an old man now. I don't know. I do like his weapon, though. His weapon is a pretty cool use of dust and such. I really enjoyed that. And I thought it was weird that Oscar just kind of like tanked the fireball that got thrown at him for no reason.
Just to prove a point.
Yeah, and I mean, he had plenty of aura, I guess, to do that with, but it's just like, I mean, that's really cool, and that definitely proves a point, but it's like, did you really have to do that?
And again, it did just seem to be kind of rule of cool of like, why is this here? Like,
there is that, yeah.
Out of all the fights that were occurring, Weiss was really the only one who seemed to have a good one.
I was really frustrated by that, because I understand that, like, I feel like what they were going for is like, hey, she learned how to summon, so she's like over-relying on that now, just trying to do that. But it's just like, I don't feel like Weiss would do that. Like, I feel like, again, she's like the most intelligent one, supposedly, out of all of them. She's like at least bookish.
Yeah, but that's one of those moments where, like, there's a handful of times in RWBY where they will have very human moments where you want to have that reaction of the hero would not do that, and it's like, well, no, but they're not a hero, they're just human. Yeah, and so it's a very common, oh, look, I got a new toy, let me over rely on it. Like that is a very common. Yeah,
and I guess she is still pretty
failure.
young. I always forget that these characters are like 18.
Yeah, and also remember that summoning was something that was a big deal for her not to have been able to do. I mean, that was like an entire major scene between her and Winter in Volume 3, right, of not being able to unlock that. So having suddenly unlocked it, not only is it her new toy to play with that she wants to rely on, she wants to prove it to herself that she can do it. So that I am willing to believe that, even if we can all sit back and go, girl, you have a whole arsenal, and clearly that isn't working.
She was using like a few other things, like she's still using her other glyphs to move around.
I mean, she was jumping around a lot, but she was very quickly outclassed by Vernal.
Yeah, and she was just on the defensive the entire time because she was trying to summon. And like, her summons are like
impressive,
way more powerful than anything else she has. So I can.
She should have gone with like a whole bunch of little ones, because apparently the big ones take a little while to summon. Just like, get that Borbatusk out here and just go.
Yeah. It's true. Or just summon a whole swarm of the wasps. That'd be... But
little ones.
Yes. And maybe she, like, even doing that, like, she's still fairly new to it. So
cantaloupe-sized wasps.
And so, yeah, maybe she just, like, no matter what she would try to summon, it would take a while. But her fight was pretty cool. It was the one that they focused on. So, like, we actually got to see the fight, unlike everybody else's.
Yeah. Jean gets toyed with. Emerald is just distracting Ruby, who's not very good at whatever she's attempting to do.
Yeah, there is that.
I did enjoy the flashback to Volume 3, though. That was fun to see, even if kind of cringy for everyone.
Yeah. Yes. And then the Silver Eyes happen, which finally, something else I've been looking forward to.
And then she gets nerfed.
Yup.
That made me happy. And it's like, oh, well, that's not how we quickly resolve this.
Yes. Yeah, I was a little bit afraid of that. That'd just be like an instant thing, but it was not. And we find out later as to why it actually affects Cinder and nobody else, which is awesome. And then...
But does raise questions of, are all maidens part Grim, or are not all maidens actually susceptible to Silver Eyes? Because the way this had been previously introduced was that a silver-eyed warrior, when coming in contact with a maiden, would have an inevitable conflict.
Well, that's not quite how it was phrased, because Salem never said, like, the maiden powers, just said her power. And a lot of people were theorizing because of that she got fused with that Grim bug.
Okay.
When she stole the power, and that's like the tattoo on her back is like when she became part Grim. But it could also be maiden powers. I mean, it could just be
I'll have to double check that.
General.
You may be correct with like the exact phrasing of what was said. It may have been a little more ambiguous than
it was
their maiden powers.
Because I remember looking through the Ruby Wiki speculation house back in the day, and everyone was just like, "Why did this work?"
Reasons. So then Ruby gets knocked out, and John fails at
John
life.
fails at life, as per usual, so a normal day in life of John.
I mean, just, like, why would you lunge? Like, you can swing your sword. You don't have a fencing foil, boy. You have a broadsword.
Yeah, that's what everyone was saying. It's like, why, if he, like, just swung his sword like a normal person, he would have taken her head off.
And no, instead he does this kind of unbalanced lunge forward, clip the face thing. Like, I admire him going for the face, like, good on him. But you could have just baseball batted the damn thing, and that would have been more effective.
And it was weird that he was like so off balance, because I don't think he was like getting up or anything. He was like charging at her, and then he like stabbed, so he knew like what to expect on the follow through, and he just like fell over. And it's like, is he just not used to the sword weight? Because it's like the bigger one, he hasn't used as much. Like, what's going on here? Supposedly they've been training all the time, so you think Osmond at some point would say,
we've spent the last month and a half training. Like, John, really?
Apparently not using Ruby's semblance. Which could also be a thing where it's like she's been so focused on like hand-to-hand combat, she just has been using her semblance so little that she just didn't think about it. But I really doubt that.
Yeah, that's
because she used to rely on that so
way too much of a stretch. Yeah, like you don't drop a crutch like that after a month and a half of just hand-to-hand training with friends. Like,
certainly not. And then Weiss gets stabbed.
Yeah, she does.
That was freaky.
Like, I love the artistic shots on it, like the parallels between Pyrrha getting stabbed, like the character animation on Weiss as she's like, oh my god, I just got stabbed. I do have some issues with every fight in the background stopping abruptly to stare. Like, why does Mercury care? Yang is currently not fighting. Kill Yang. Like, what are you doing, dude?
That definitely seems like Mercury, dude. But also, Mercury seems like the kind of guy to, like, revel in that kind of thing.
But he looks surprised. Like,
oh, did he? I thought he was, like, kind of smirking or something.
I mean, with him, it's hard to tell. But it was like, yes, one of them is down. You're the bad guys. Go.
It's like, you're winning now. Like, don't stop. Yeah, I thought that was a little odd as well, but
I also was curious about the landing of the hit on Weiss. Like, what's with the kidney shot? Like, is Cinder's depth perception just off because she's missing an eyeball? Like, is that why?
I figured it was like she's using a spear, which is not a weapon that she's used a lot. So she's not, like, amazing. And also her throw is just like, meh. It wasn't
okay, her throw is like meh, and then this, 6 foot long pole goes 3 feet through Weiss. Like, it's got some oomph behind it.
Yeah, probably. Maybe she used some, like, maiden power to, like, rocket boost or something.
So, and then it's like, why didn't you, like, aim for, like, the base of the neck or just at least centered? And it's like, no, we get a nice kidney shot. Maybe we've got a collapsed lung situation going on here. I mean,
I thought that was a little odd.
This could have been instantaneously fatal instead of
slowly bleeding out kind of thing.
Slowly bleeding out over 2 more episodes.
And I mean, Cinder is the type to be like, I'm just going to revel in everyone's pain and cause as much suffering as possible. So,
which again, why are we putting these people in charge? Like,
the only ones available.
I guess. Like, the good guys, Leo's the best we can do. The bad guys, Cinder's the best we can do. Where it's like, hey, Let's throw away our entire reasonable, really good plan for a kind of crabby shot at Ruby. Eh? Yeah.
I feel like
it's like, what are you doing?
I feel like the people that are going to go along with Salem's plan of murdering everybody in the world aren't going to be the most reasonable people.
But then you got like Leo when we put him in charge of an academy and then brought him along. Like, what the fuck are we doing, people?
Yeah. It's
like all of the non-huntsmen. Yeah, the gods are crazy.
That's all it really comes down to.
And that's where the episode ends.
That's where it ends. Just like get stabbed, things fade out of her, and then we cut. And then we go to episode 12. I
really, really wanted to have episode 12 open with like the opening sequence and just the W dropped, so just like RBY is the show. Like there was this sick part of me that just really wanted that to happen, just because it would be like everyone would be losing their shit right now.
Oh yeah.
But no, we just rejoin the fight scene where everyone is still just kind of frozen, not reacting to Weiss being injured.
Mm-hmm. And then once Hazel finds out, so then Oscar goes over to Ruby, smacks Leo away. Leo's like, that's Ozpin. And then Hazel's like, what?
Hazel smash!
Yeah, then he literally just hulks out, just stabs himself with dust crystals, which is really awesome, actually. Like,
yeah, like
that's the first time we've
like,
seen dust like injected into someone's body and like what it can do.
Yeah, like that was mentioned in like a World of Remnant forever ago. But yeah,
Volume 1 even.
Is it Volume 1 or Volume 2? Did we do World of Remnants during Volume 1?
Oh, that's good. That's a good question. It was Volume 2. I'm pretty sure it started at Volume 2.
Fair enough. But yeah.
So Hazel hulks out. He starts like going crazy, and then Crow pulls out his scythe form, like of his weapon, and then immediately goes back to sword off screen.
And just like, constantly is getting owned by Hazel. Like, I don't know what Crow was trying to do, but it was failing.
He got punched hard.
And
which
often.
I loved so much.
And very much like bendy in half every time of just like, oh, you're not standing up again after that. Oh, you're back in the fight. Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, the huntsmen, they're hardy. Except for the ones that died from Salem.
I mean, I think whoever does the status charts, I think he made some comment about like Crow's liver taking the brunt of the damage, because that's what always does anyway.
Yeah, like, that sounds about right. So then we find out that Hazel's backstory, which is like pretty simple. A lot of people are upset about it, but it's just
it's a traditional fridging. Like, I am angry because the death of my sister is your fault. That is my entire motivation as a character, and I literally turned to evil because of it. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
But you're soft-spoken and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it was interesting. A lot of people were pointing out that that's a lot of parallels to Hansel and Gretel.
Yes.
So
his sister's name was like Gretchen or something.
Yeah.
Which then
it's good to see the like fairy tales coming back into play of like that's where the characters are coming from.
That did also make me wonder because, you know, an evil witch is supposed to be trying to eat Hansel and Gretel. So is the wizard to blame, or is, you know, Team Witch with the evil Salem lady?
I feel like Salem would be the one because, I mean, she died during huntsman training, most likely to Grimm, which is controlled by Salem,
huntsman training is not exactly an exercise in safety.
No, it's not. It's not. But I mean, the way think about it now, like the way that she died was probably too grim. So it's weird that he wouldn't be upset with Salem.
Yeah, like oh, this is Ozpin's fault because literally the monsters that you spawn in your backyard murdered my sister. Like,
yeah, it's you know, it's fine. So he's going to fight, and then Ozpin takes over Oscar because Oscar doesn't want to run away because he's like, I need to fight, and it's like Ozpin's like, dude, you are not ready for this.
Yeah.
And Oscar's being a little kid about it. It's just like, okay, I'm just gonna
go sit down. The adults need to play.
Yes. And Ozpin fighting, even in Oscar's body, is really cool to watch and really fun. He actually uses his terrain very well, like jumping off of walls and all around him and like
doing his multi-stabby thing with his cane.
Multi-stabby and just generally like using the size advantage that he has of being really nimble and getting all around.
Oh, yeah.
It was really cool to see. Really great.
Meanwhile, Emerald and Mercury are just standing there like not doing anything instead of, knocking everyone else out while everyone's distracted.
I am curious if Oscar could have gotten through to Hazel if he kept trying to like talk to him, because he seemed to like Hazel was still like, you're going to die, but it was like he seemed to like have a moment of hesitation at least. So if he could have continued through with that, I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, the second Ozpin actually does show up, like
just all bets are off.
Yeah, because it's like, I will murder you. Not it was very much, I'm going to kill Ozpin. I'm feeling a little bad about killing the vessel, but yeah.
And I am curious if that's going to be a theme down the road of like Oscar wanting to do things a different way than Ozpin is, and Ozpin's like, I am thousands of years old, so I obviously know best.
But we also did see at the end of all of this that Ozpin was exhausted to the point that he practically wasn't even there, and Oscar was having to speak on his behalf. So taking over like that may not be something he can do long term, and may have actually been something he won't be able to do again because of that.
Yeah, that's very possible as well. We'll just have to see now, won't we?
In August? Is that when we're getting Volume 6?
Probably.
I think that's what the release said.
I do kind of wish, I haven't even like read up any of that stuff yet. I do wish they would take more time for it though, because I just like, I want them to just take their time to make sure it's what they want it to be.
Pretty much, I think it was like after episode 7, this volume kind of walked off a cliff and then didn't quite recover.
Yeah.
Like there's been a lot of negative feedback on the subreddit, and you've got some people saying, "Oh, you're just nitpicking." It's like, no, I mean there were some very good moments in these 4 episodes, but this was a very anticlimactic ending for what was a significant build-up and frankly a fantastic start to the volume, and then just kind of a ending.
Yeah, and we've seen what the show can be and what it can do, especially with like endings and situations like this, and we just didn't have anything close to that. It was just, it didn't feel like the ending of a volume. It just felt like, oh, there's some things happening finally. Like, it felt like these events should have taken place. Like, I mean, I'm almost wondering if things like Genlock pulled animators and quality control people away. Like, I know Gray has been focusing on Genlock very extensively from what we can tell, and previously he was focused very extensively on Ruby. So we may be seeing the effects of the team splitting a bit. It could be a lot of that, and that's something I've been worried about, but it also just seemed a lot of like stuff that fell into Miles and Carrie, because a lot of it was sitting around and talking, and I did read an interview where like Carrie did address that, and it's like, yeah, we've learned a lot of what not to do this season, so it's good to see that they've like been listening to feedback and such. So hopefully we won't get another volume that falls off quite as hard as this one did. But
and now we resume the talking.
Choreography and stuff is a little bit lacking in some places, but
and again, like in the beginning of the volume, it was much cleaner. We did have scenes where people were sitting around and talking, but they still felt dynamic. There was motion, there was people being present in the scene, and then later it turned into literally sitting stationary in chairs, not reacting. And it was like,
all of the things that we were talking about that were done so well, and then that just kind of went away.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was just a thing of like time constraints. So that's why I want to be like, just like take a year to get the volume done and then start putting out after it's done.
There you go.
Because I mean,
we will take a Christmas release.
Yes, absolutely. But we've always had, I mean, this is pretty much all of Rooster Teeth's productions, like even Red vs. Blue is like being finished up as it's airing.
Yeah. And I mean, you'll hear Bernie talk about this in his vlog and that sort of thing of projects are never done. Like if you don't set a deadline, you're not going to stop. And that's fair. There's absolutely validity to that. But then kind of on the flip side, you look at this and go, okay, well, what changed between the first half of the volume and the second? Because there's clearly a quality drop across the board.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And hopefully that's something that they learned about, like, whatever caused that, hopefully they can fix in the future.
Yeah. Anyway, how about that episode?
Yeah, then we have, oh man, what's next here?
Let's see. Leo opens the magic vault, which Pocket Watch, love it. Mm-hmm. Got to get our Wizard of Oz references snuck in there as much as possible.
Oh, of course.
Cinder, Vernal, and Raven go off with Cinder making a comment about her wanting Ruby alive, which girl has issues.
Oh yeah, I mean, if someone almost murders you, like, you know, and if you're already like not exactly mentally stable, then it's gonna be not so great. But
you're just gonna get uppity about it. I mean, come on, Cinder.
Yeah, you know.
And then Jean with semblance activation and actual blood.
Finally, yay!
Finally, on both counts.
On not animated blood, still.
You know, it's something.
It's something. We
got progress. A torn garment with some blood. Ta-da! Yes, not, oh, she took a spear through her. There's no blood.
I gotta say, when she was like up and walking around later, and she still had that, like, it was really cool. That
like, made me happy. I really enjoyed the continuity on that.
Oh, that's weird to see.
Yeah. Like, no, that pleased me greatly when I saw that.
Definitely. But there was a moment later where Hazel gets stabbed through the gut, and then he doesn't. Like,
yeah, but he also gets stabbed by glowy thing, and it's like, let's talk about the corporealness of these things.
100%. That thing stabbed him, and he got dragged back. He should have a grievous injury there.
Probably, but he also Hulk smashes. I don't know. He's just.
Yeah, it was just very strange to like.
Again, there's always this part of me that just like wants to discuss the physics of everyone's semblance, and it's like, this is fully transparent. What are the material properties of your semblance exactly?
Yeah. Maybe that'll be after RWBYCast. We'll get into some more or something.
This is the physics world of Remnant. Let's discuss.
I mean, I'd be all for that, but right now we're gonna get back to the episode where we are going down to the vault room with everybody, which is a very cool thing.
Very pretty vault.
Real quick, John's semblance is giving his aura to other people, basically, and a lot of people are saying like boosting their aura, which
I think it seemed to be aura sharing, like him putting his aura into someone else.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure about aura boosting, like in the sense that a lot of people seem to be talking about it, but I could certainly see something where it's like he would give them like more aura than they would normally have. Yeah,
I took it as a pooling of aura, and he just happens to have a lot per Pyrrha.
Yes. Which, again, is cool to see, like, and this is something that, like, I've kind of figured was going to be the case since, like, probably volume 2, or was it volume 1 when the, like, Cardin Punch thing happened, and, like, the glowiness.
That's volume 1.
That was, okay.
It's all the way back in volume 1.
Some form of, if not healing, if aura transfer kind of thing, and then his, like, having a lot would be so he could give it to people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was cool to finally see, and, like, we'll finally get to, like, maybe he'll get to do other cool stuff with it later, and
maybe.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen with that.
What he also seemed to be doing was amplifying whatever Weiss was doing, like, because she starts making, once she does wake up, she starts making the comment about, like, she feels good, she feels really good, she starts triggering her summons quickly.
Yeah, and
so
that's what I was
it may
talking about
almost
with, like,
be
giving her, like, more aura than normal, so she's able to just, like, boost it out.
Keep it going a lot stronger than it should be.
So then we go to the vault room, and it's really cool. There's a big old tree. It's weird that it's like that way, but again, like,
I did enjoy. They had like a weird hang a lantern moment on us where it was like, oh, it's much more impressive than beacons, and it's like, well, yeah, this one's made in Maya. Yeah, but you know, the other one was just like a giant, like, walled room kind of thing, as made in the software they were using at the time. Like, yeah, very true. I enjoyed that little moment because it just kind of seemed to be a nod at the animators of like, It certainly could be, yeah. Then we go back to the fighting, all the stuff, and that's when Hazel and Ozpin start going at it. And it seemed, I think Ozpin might be ambidextrous. I noticed him switching hands
at least once, if not a couple times.
I believe it.
So that was really cool to see, and that totally makes sense. For someone that's been thousands of years, they should like be able to use both their arms.
But meanwhile, Oscar and Crow aren't doing very well against Hazel. Yang's getting her ass handed to her. Ruby wakes up and runs over to Weiss, and then does probably the single most stupid moment in the entire volume of John saying they're healing, and she lifts his hands away and then says, "Don't stop what you're doing."
Yep.
And it's like,
I'm stopping you, but don't stop.
Oh, let me directly interfere. Oh, this looks like a great idea. Keep it up. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
I saw there are some people making jokes. It's like, Ruby's like, get your hands off my girl.
Yeah, sure.
But...
Oh, here. No, you keep helping her, but you do it over here, Jean. Yeah. I've got my... Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, who knows?
And then she has like this awful leadership moment where she is like, everything is happening really quickly and just decisions need to be made. And she's like, someone needs to help Oscar. Someone needs to watch over Weiss. And then she's waiting for volunteers.
Yeah.
And it's like, you, here, you, there, me, go, okay. Like,
I feel like Ruby doesn't have a lot of experience with leadership necessarily. Like, she's good at like when everyone's in a fight already and like coordinating attacks, but maybe not necessarily delegating these kinds of things.
We've
but
seen
John's
her
right there,
do this well before.
Like delegating tasks to people?
Or at least making quick decisions, not waiting for volunteers. I mean, they are in a combat situation. She could have just been like, Ren, go!
Well, if anything, I figured Jean would do that, because he's the one that's always like the leadery type.
He's a little distracted.
That's true.
And supposedly, Ruby's supposed to be in charge of Ranger because that's how letters work. Like...
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. And then we go back to the vault, which is just a very pretty vault.
And then we get the line from Ruby first, and it's like, "No, I'm angry."
Yeah, that was...
Which is... I liked it. It was like...
I liked the line, I didn't like the delivery, because there was no emotion in the delivery.
I'll say that too. I do have my notes. Ruby so angry she forgot what her semblance is.
Ruby's so angry she forgot what angry sounds like. And it's like, no, I'm going to get mad.
It's the first time Lindsay was trying to do angry Ruby.
No, we've seen angry Ruby.
True, yeah.
I mean, there was a moment in Volume 3 where after Penny gets killed and the giant Nevermore's going after Pyrrha, she's like, leave her alone!
Yeah, that's true. That was amazing.
Like that was a beautiful line, beautiful delivery, like beautifully shot. Like that was a great moment. And then this is Ruby jumps over, strikes her Volume 1 like advertising pose, and then goes, "I'm mad." It's like, are you? Are you sure?
I don't know. I liked it still. So then, yes, we go back to the vaults, and we find out that Cinder is fully part Grimm now. That was a weird way to say that. Fully part? That's not how,
and
whatever.
Vernal plays the bluff until almost the absolute last moment. Oh yeah, I'm gonna walk up to the vault and I'm gonna open it. It's not gonna do anything.
Yeah, it was like, Raven, please do something. Oh, I'm stabbed now.
Yeah.
Which was unfortunate.
But really cool. Like,
really
not
cool.
only did we get the evil Grimm arm reveal.
That's stretchy.
Second, yeah, stretchy.
Stretch Armstrong.
All evil Grimm limbs are stretchy fun friends.
I'm fine with that.
Oh, God. We get that reveal, which some people had predicted coming through the subreddit of like, oh, I bet this is what's under there. And it's like, that would be cool. And then we get the very abrupt Raven is actually the Spring Maiden reveal.
Mm-hmm.
And then just some episode fucking ends. And it was like, what?
Yeah. And how she delivered that in like the most dramatic Raven way possible.
Yep.
It's like, because I remember looking on the subreddit and people were like, that was something that people were saying. It's like, why did she just like say it like that and like just reveal it in that way? And it's like, because she's Raven and she's the most dramatic motherfucker in this entire planet.
It's true. Like, she's not good at a lot of things, but the overdramatic reveal is up there.
Yeah. So yes, then it ends, and I noticed something actually with the eye fire, because I thought originally that it was going to be something of like the eye fire is just like based on which maiden it is, it's going to be a different color. So like the fall maiden would be orange, spring maiden would be green or whatever, but hers is red, which is her eye color. So I'm curious if they're going with that.
And we do finally get to see kind of the big purpose of her mask. Like we talked about this many episodes ago when Yang shows up in the bandit camp and Raven was making some very interesting choices about putting on and taking off her mask, which did time out to Vernal supposedly using Spring Maiden powers. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was really cool to like have that reveal. And it's like, oh, okay, that does make sense.
That's why you got this, sort of. Crow still eyeballs it weirdly, and we don't know why he is angsty about it beyond it's a grim mask.
I mean, for him, it's probably just like a reminder of the tribe or something.
Maybe, but it's not like anyone else in the tribe is wearing grim masks.
Who knows? There's probably backstory.
Like that's kind of why we thought for the longest time that Raven was going to be like leader of the White Fang or something.
Then we go to chapter 13.
Chapter 13.
And we start out in the upper bit of the building where stuff is fighting. And like you said, then Weiss is like, oh, I feel really good. Like,
and Ruby
awesome.
drops her fucking weapon immediately.
And we just get fighty for a bit. And then we get Nora. It's like, finally Weiss is like, Nurjan's like, hey, you can like go help them now to Nora. And it's like, okay, great. And I feel like Nora just like has this really obvious attack at him just so she does get like grabbed by his electricity. So she can power up, because it was like she had this like a super obvious swing coming in. There's like there's no way that he wouldn't block it.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
You may have cut out for a second.
Yeah, it seemed like the audio did. Pay no attention.
It's fine. It'll be fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
So then Nora gets shocked and she gets powered up, and like we just see how just strong she really can get with that. And like she just like launches Hazel over her shoulder and then like just knocks him out with her hammer. Which is one of the most satisfying hits in the show.
Well, I was annoyed with I was annoyed with how the episode opened, just because it had like the Ruby dropping her weapon immediately, but then we also had not only Nora being a complete badass, but probably my single favorite line exchange of the volume between Jean and Weiss, where he's just like, you need to stay with me while the others fight. And she's like, that's annoying. Like, that's such a loaded statement. It's not just, oh, it's annoying that I can't join my comrades in battle. It's like, no, I have to stay with you.
Yeah, that's that's such a wise thing to say, too. It's just so great.
I love that. It was just beautiful.
So I will say I like the throwback to the Ruby and Ozpin fight when Ruby headbutts Mercury. There's a nice little like thing. It's like, hey,
I like that, but I didn't like how immediately she was disarmed. Like, that was just like, what are you even doing? I'm mad, so I'm going to drop my weapon.
And not know how to use my semblance still.
Yeah. It's like,
there's a lot of problems I had with the fighting overall in this. Like, the animation for it was fine, but the choreography was lacking severely. Because this is Ruby, like the combat is supposed to be a huge choreography, deal all that stuff, but just not. When
we would have individual fights that we were focusing on, the choreography wasn't bad at all, but it was the having so many pieces on the set at one given time and keeping it all together was just
and it was definitely looked like they were just like, okay, so we're gonna show them fighting now, so let's just show this clip of like generic fighting. It wasn't like, oh, like this is what they were doing into like this fighting stuff, and it was just like really generic.
And like, where the hell did Emerald and Mercury go?
Yeah, there was a lot of just people kind of like disappearing into nothing. Like Leo was gone for
like he
most
runs
of this.
Away. I guess he hasn't even run away yet. Like, what the fuck is he doing?
He's just not there. like for a lot of it, and that's something I didn't notice my first couple watch throughs, but a lot of people in the subreddit were pointing out. It's like, yeah, people were just like disappearing and reappearing at random.
Oh, yeah.
And no one was really like paying attention.
I mean, Nora does this great
through.
smash and throwing Hazel onto the courtyard, and then like the fight pauses again, and it's like Emerald and Mercury have bigger fish to fry, and they're just not paying attention.
I did really like that when Hazel got thrown out, Adam like looked at him and he was just like, "What the fuck
He's
happened
like, "What are you
to you?"
doing?
It's like it's
Like,
not
well, this
even
is
like
not
what
the
are you doing?
plan.
It's like you have like dust in you and you're like hulked out right now, and like what is going on? Like he looks freaked out, which is something we haven't really seen from Adam too much.
I don't know. Adam was also like actively high this episode or something. I don't know. He was just useless and crazy, and Blake shows up and you have this, Star Wars episode 3, I have the higher ground moment, and it's like, really? And then the entire population of Menagerie shows up to fight the remaining, 6 White Fang members, because apparently all of the rest securing the perimeter are asleep.
Yeah, I literally wrote in my notes, did the entire population of Menagerie show up?
They seem to.
There's a lot.
How'd they fit on the boat?
It's a very good point. They're just stacked on top of each other on the boat.
It's not a good mental image.
It's a little weird. It's fine.
But yeah, the entirety of the population of Menagerie, Adam's, single mortal enemy, the police, like...
Yeah, And then he tries to blow everybody up.
He tries to blow everyone up, which makes the White Fang guys hanging out there not happy, which was a nice moment to have of them being like, what are you doing?
It's like, dude, stop. Like,
and then we're back to Star Wars Episode 1 of, soon we will have our revenge. I'm going to make them pay!
Yep.
Dude's just unhinged.
And for some reason... Even after that, it's like, now fight them. And they were like, okay, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
It's like, clearly you're outnumbered. Like, you're not going to win this. You have no chance.
Yeah.
Why are you still going to follow this guy at all? And he just tried to blow you up. I would just tackle the dude down to the ground and was like, come get him right now. And
then Blake jumps down, doesn't draw her weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Adams comes rushing at her and she sidesteps and for all intents and purposes just decks him, and he's completely nerfed.
Not only did she sidestep, just like it was nothing, she sidestepped into the blade.
Yeah.
Like, he still hit her.
And then she just goes boop, and he's down.
That was pretty lame. It's just
it
like
was like, is
it's like he's been shown to be like so much like.
I know he needs to power up. Like, I know that's like a big deal with him of the longer you fight Adam, the more dangerous he is. But that just really.
Yeah. And he knows her abilities. And like, I was talking to someone else and they said like, well, maybe that's just like to show like that Blake is a lot better now. But I think it's just like Adam is just completely unhinged at this point because he is.
He's either unhinged or everyone forgot how much of a badass he was, a couple volumes and some trailers ago.
Yeah, because I was just about to say in the trailers, like, even before he powers up, he's able to do some, like, really ridiculous shit.
Oh, yeah.
And then he just gets booped in the back of the head and he's done.
And thrown across the room and then sufficiently knocked out that Blake is able to run across the courtyard and have a quick chit chat with her team and then run all the way back.
Yeah. It's a little weird. It's a little weird, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm yawning. So then we go back into the inside where we have a partial reunion, like a second. It's like Blake and Yang see each other and they're just like, whoa, and then
this is probably one of those moments that frustrated me excessively because the Yang Blake reunion had a lot of anticipation built into it. I mean, we've pretty much had 2 volumes where everyone, like, we've been rooting for Team RWBY to get back together, but we've also been worried about what that reaction is going to be when Yang and Blake encounter each other. And we have Blake nerf Adam, run all the way across the courtyard.
For no real reason.
For no reason. See everything kind of going to shit and go, Yang! And then Ruby tells Yang to run off.
Yeah.
And then they nod, and then Blake runs all the way back across the courtyard to go back and hang out with Adam. And it's like, no. Like, if any...
See, I was fine with that initial reaction because they were just like, I don't know how to react to this. And then Ruby, I feel like Ruby kind of like saw that and it's like, we need to focus. Yang, get the fuck out of here so you can like...
Well, that, and
refocus.
what the fuck was Yang's game plan here? Because she had no, like... What the situation as Yang knew that she was going into was you've got your mom who's not on your side, you've got Cinder who's already killed a bunch of people, and you've got Vernal who's not on your side, all super fucking overpowered.
Yeah.
And in the vault. What is Yang's game plan here? Hey, Yang, go after them by yourself. I'm sure you can handle it. Thanks, Ruby.
And detach your arm along the way. So
detach your arm along the way. Literally go in disarmed. What's the game plan here?
I was really confused about that too, because it's like, I don't know what any of them are thinking, like, because Ruby just sent her sister off to die, pretty much.
Yes.
Because none of that made sense at all for me. Yeah, I just...
Like, had
no idea
the battle not
the
concluded, had she interrupted when prior to Vernal's reveal as not being the Spring Maiden, Cinder probably would have just straight up murdered Yang, and we still don't terribly have an indication that Raven would have done anything to stop her.
Yep, probably not, because she was still trying to play her hand at the time.
Yeah. Like the...
So yeah, that all like really was odd to me. I figured that she was gonna go down first, and then more people are gonna join in a bit.
Yeah.
After like whatever happens, but it was just her.
I mean,
it's like, you just saw two of the most powerful people around you, like two maidens. Because I mean, they didn't know that Raven was the maiden, but they still knew that there were two maidens down there.
Two maidens and your mom, and you're just gonna handle this by yourself.
Yeah, with
like
one arm.
The moment I kind of expected / was hoping for was, okay, fine, let's at least accept for now that we send Yang off by herself, or maybe frankly Yang goes charging off by herself despite warnings from others. Then you can have Blake run into the room. She gets to see Ruby, she gets to see Weiss. If anything, she looks around the room quickly, turns to Ruby and says, "Where's Yang?"
Well, I mean, she wouldn't have any reason to think that Yang would be there.
I mean, you've got
her sisters there.
You've got Juniper there. You've got Uncle Crow there. You've got like everyone's here. Where's Yang?
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
Particularly if maybe she'd heard Yang yelling earlier, like maybe Yang goes off screaming after her mom.
Yeah,
Blake comes running over, kind of takes in what's going on, and then it's like, "Where's Yang?" Like that. If anything, delaying the reunion further would have been kind of a cool moment, and then maybe having Team Ruby reunite down in the vault, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
Instead it's like, I don't know what we're doing.
It was really sad to see, because the rest of all the reunions that happened were like so amazingly done, and then this one was just like, we're together now, yay.
And again, that's kind of where we walked off the cliff. Like the Yang Weiss reunion was awesome, because it was just like this heavy emotion moment. Like Weiss completely breaks down and throws herself at Yang. Like even the Ruby Yang reunion wasn't as good, because that was kind of where we started walking off the cliff this volume, because we just had the terrible Raven conversation at the time. And then it just kind of kept going down, and then we finally get our big major Team Ruby reunion, and it's like, okay.
Yep. Yeah, it really did feel like they didn't quite know where they were going with all of this, which, again, in the interview, like, Carrie was like, yeah, we don't really know what exactly is going to happen, and it's like, that's why I want to take more time to like really figure out like where you want it to go, and like,
I mean, I think we were
going to happen
like 4 or 5 episodes into airing when they announced they'd finally finished writing the last couple chapters, which was like, really? Like, I'm used to you guys not having rendered everything, but
yeah, usually have the script done before it starts airing at the very least. But yeah,
Yeah.
this all seemed like very last second, and I feel like that's possibly attributed to them like trying to include more episodes, which I feel
Maybe.
like really worked against them.
Yeah, I don't know
his-
that anything was gained at all by having
I-
14 episodes.
I would much prefer like even a 10 episode volume if they had more time to work on it. Like
Yeah.
a 10 episode or 10 chapter volume with a later air date, just so they can like have everything concrete and like make sure everything is like good and makes
Agreed.
sense, and make sure they don't forget to include people in fights like Leo just kind of disappearing into the ether.
Or,
Every now and
have
again.
Leo just abruptly stand up in the background and run away because, it's good enough for
I
Blake.
rewatched that again. I can't remember what it was. I was trying to find the thumbnail for chapter 10, and I watched that again, and it's oh, man.
Such
that
a
was-
bad moment.
Yeah. So where are we at? So yeah, then why summon the Queen Lancer? That was just a little bit
That was
back
cool.
from that, but yeah, summoning that was like great. It's like, oh, Weiss has the forethought to summon something else than her
Yeah.
knight at least.
And
like, that
actually
thing is
does
still
answer
really
a question that we brought up at the beginning of the volume,
Mm-hmm.
because I think at some point you mentioned, hey, she can summon a Queen Lancer now, and it was like, can she? Because the way Winter had presented the semblance was it had to be like a critical development moment for you, not just any generic monster you've killed.
Yeah.
And so either killing the Queen Lancer was a major development moment, which I don't really think it was. Or she can truly just summon fucking anything she kills.
That would be great.
Yeah. So
I mean,
that was...
Winter was able to summon a bunch of tiny birds. I can't imagine that her killing a small bird.
I don't know.
was-
But we don't know what those birds were doing, because for all you know, they were, attacking young Weiss, and this was a
Yeah,
moment
or it could
where
have been originally like a huge one that she had to do whatever.
we might be able to
take
escape. Like,
down.
we've seen Tiny Knights, so that might be a
Mhm.
flock of fucking Nevermores.
I want to see a flock of knights.
What?
That'd be weird.
Like a arm. Okay.
Flock of knights.
Anyway.
Anyway,
So I did like again, we have kind of the constant situation with these episodes where there's absolutely awesome moments mixed in among kind of some mess, and just the framing of and the music of Weiss having summoned the Lancer and getting the callback to the oh god, what's the name of the song? Whatever it is, the
no
song
idea.
that she sings in Volume 4, like that was a cool moment.
yeah,
And it's
Definitely.
like, bitch, I'm here, ready to go.
and Yang actually showing some restraint for once with not necessarily the most intelligent thing to do with her letting go of her arm instead of like turning and trying to fight Mercury, but
Which
It's
again, this kind of comes back to one of our earlier conversations of we had the dramatic reveal that she could disconnect her arm when we were digging around arm wrestling with Nora, and we revealed that she could rocket punch her arm for this moment. That's
Yeah.
it?
yeah. Maybe it'll come into play later. Who knows? Like
Maybe, but it
it'd
was
be
just
great
like
if she like rocket punched her arm and then like rocketed herself and like reattached her arm into another punch or something.
Or,
like,
or
there's
honestly,
a lot
having
you could do
not
with it.
done the rocket punch moment earlier in the volume and just have this sudden surprise of she can disconnect her arm if she wants.
Yeah, that could be as well. So let's see, where are we now? I think we're back down below when the maiden fight starts. Is that right?
Yes. So Vernal is getting ready to pretend to open the door, and Cinder starts being a
stabbed.
bitch at her and has the kind of fun line of the last spring maiden must have trusted you a great deal before she died. I bet that was a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And just instantly Raven's triggered, which I want to know who the last spring maiden was.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like that kind of keeps coming up, and Yang indicates it was a child, and based on how badly triggered Raven gets, I'm still wondering if it's Summer.
Well, I mean, it seemed like it was implied that Raven is the one that killed her.
Yes, which I
It's
am
like I took mercy on
I am completely on board with this idea that Summer
Oh, yeah.
was killed by Raven. So
Certainly see that. Yeah. But then we have the big old maiden fight, which is a lot of fun.
witty banter, lots of sword fighting, new Casey
Mhm.
Williams song.
A lot of sword breaking.
A lot of sword breaking, lots of jumping onto falling rubble. Like this almost had like a RVB season 13 vibe to it, or 13.
Was there a reason why the rubble is falling that I missed?
I think they were just like knocking down the stalactites, just cause.
So they were just like doing their uber power stuff. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
The giant swords were fun. A lot of people didn't like that, but I was just like, yeah, why not? That's a fun thing.
I mean,
do.
I considered it just kind of like an anime thing. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah,
of
absolutely.
course, we are summoning our powers into giant weapons of doom.
Every time somebody was blocking, though, it was blade on blade, and that really bothered me.
Eh.
It's just, I don't know. That's
mean,
like
if you
super
have-
nitpicky, but it's just like,
If you have
no wonder you're breaking
magic
swords.
weapons that you can just generate new ones, whatever.
Well, Cinder did, but Raven doesn't. Raven, I mean, she can, obviously, but not in the same way that Cinder can, because Cinder is doing that with her semblance. That's
None
like
of these
boosted
people
by
make good
her
tactical
powers.
choices, so again,
Yeah, there's that.
whatever.
It was cool to see the different color of swords coming from Raven instead of just the classic red all the time.
Yep.
There's like pretty much every color in there at some point, and she was actually like putting her hilt back in her sheath every time.
Constantly, over and over and over. So we did have a lot of consistency there, which was appreciated.
That was something I was really like. The first time I watched it, I like it was just like, oh, this is crazy. It's a whole spectacle, and then I was curious if that was actually the case, and it is, which I very much appreciate. And
Then Vernal gets
Raven-
the final shot in.
yeah, she does. But Raven jumps like 120 feet in the air, and I think that was like a wind power jump, which is really cool to see that they're using their powers like differently. Because I mean, Raven or Cinder always just used fire to fly around and all that stuff, but I feel like it's showing Raven understands her powers a lot better than Cinder does. I mean, that's just a constant throughout the fight that like Raven.
Oh, yeah.
Raven's much more like technical, and Cinder is just going for brute strength. Which
And I mean, Raven
just
seems to have
insane.
some practice with her
Oh, yeah.
powers. I mean, particularly because she's been playing off Vernal as the Spring Maiden for such an extended period that she has enough control that she can play ventriloquist with
Yeah.
her powers. So
And
it's
that
not
was just
surprising when
really
she
cool to see
bothers
that.
using them for herself that she's pretty baller at it.
And Cinder has had like less than a year of practice with all this stuff.
Yes.
And she's just like, oh, I'm just gonna, blast people away. Which has worked so far, but against someone else with the same powers on an equal power level, it's like, no, you have no chance here, dude.
Yeah.
So
I mean, her aura is like shattered at the end of the fight.
Yeah. And well, it was weird because like Cinder's aura seemed to be gone, but Raven, I couldn't tell if it was gone or not. It's always weird because
Yeah, it's hard to tell when it's broken versus just flickering.
like they're showing, because the same thing happened with Oscar when he just tanked that hit. Like it showed his aura, but it's like, is that showing it breaking or just showing it?
Yeah, and like we
And-
saw that with Crow in Volume 4
Yeah,
as well.
I was just about to mention that. It's like I didn't think that his aura broke. I thought it
No.
was just that like he took some hits, so it's like showing his aura like kind of regenerating on his body or something.
Weiss's aura definitely broke when she was fighting
Yes.
with Vernal.
Yes.
But yeah, it's definitely a subtle. Is that broken or just showing?
Yeah. And as you said, Vernal gets the last kind of hit, and then Raven freezes Cinder. She's falling off. And is she dead? Is she not? We don't see a body. We don't see an actual death, on-screen death. And we don't see the maiden power fly out from her like we saw from Amber. So
Well, that was also a
Pretty up
special
in the air.
situation. So yeah,
Was it, though?
I'm not convinced that Cinder's dead yet.
no, it doesn't really seem like it.
I will
Emerald's convinced
I
she
will
is, though.
kind of be disappointed if Cinder is dead.
Yeah, that would be... I'd be all right with it because I'd be curious to see where that power goes to, like who would inherit it, but I feel like we would see the power leaving her like we did Amber, if that's
I think
gonna be a thing.
my big disappointment would be her and Ruby never actually having a showdown, because that again is something that we've had constant anticipation for.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's just like, again, I'm just making apparently prequel references all day, but it's the, oh, soon we will have our revenge on the Jedi, and then you just die immediately, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you were overhyped.
Well, there's also a thing of like, I feel like the final showdown is going to be Ruby versus Salem, because Salem is like a Grim person and Ruby has like the only power that can stop Grim.
Sure. I mean,
so.
that's the final boss level, but I mean,
over to that.
Cinder's been a main boss for our main characters, and to have her taken out by Raven, whom
Just
you know
shows
we're
up.
all still kind of not terribly warm towards. Really? That's how our big baddie goes out?
Yeah.
Like I was fine with Torchwick getting killed by a Grim in front of Ruby. Like had that happened just casually off to the side, not interacting with our main cast at all, then it would have been like, well, why?
Yeah. And then Raven opens the door, and it's a really cool door.
Really cool
And-
door. Props for the door.
Then we go into this area that's like another whole dimension with like this whole everything that's just like, what? And that was so good to see, because for a long time throughout the last 2 volumes, I feel like they've kind of forgotten that this is like an actual like fantasy world.
Yeah.
And like there's all this like crazy magic stuff happening, not with just, you know, actual magic, with like semblances and dust and all that stuff. And we still see that, but it's not quite used to as great of extent as we saw in the earlier volumes. And then we get this moment of just like, oh, we're in like a pocket dimension now. Oh yeah, this is a magic world. Oh,
this sort of shit can happen.
yeah, which so great. And then Ying shows up.
Oh, hi.
And then we go to chapter 14, which is the finale.
The finale.
Which I feel like was a little bit lackluster.
Yeah, and again, it's just kind of the volume didn't really end the way it started. Like again, we're outside with the White Fang, and the police have shown up to save us all, and it's like, okay, that's nice.
So yeah,
Really?
Adam gets totally taken out, and along with all those White Fang people, he runs away. Why am I yawning so much? I'm so sorry. I'm making everybody out there yawn. I'm sorry. Don't mean to.
Oh god.
And and then Blake has a good moment where she's like, don't go after him. Oh, I was going to mention also earlier with Ilya disarming the bombs, which was like, yeah.
That was fun. I appreciated that.
She's great. Like, she's like such a huge asset to that team.
Oh yeah.
And so then Adam tries to like get them to run away with him, and Blake's just like, no, he would still kick our ass. Like, don't do that. It's like, good on you, Blake. You learned from getting stabbed. Also, I was going to mention that, as well as a lot of people on the subreddit mentioned that Blake and Weiss are now Scar buddies on the opposite sides of their stomach.
Yes, I'm sure they're going to bond over that.
It's like, hey,
look!
hey. Just another Scar for Weiss, really.
There you go.
Let's see here.
Sun tells Blake to go and rejoin the fight, and she goes charging in overdramatically, taking Weiss by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get our first Team RWBY team attack in a while, which was fun.
Great throwback to Volume 2.
Oh, yeah. And then we cut back down to the vault.
There's a bunch of stuff talking. Everyone's talking.
So there was something odd that I noticed heavily in this volume, which did not seem to be the case when introduced in Volume 3, and that's that we know that the final person in the Maiden's Thought, presuming it is a young woman, gets the powers.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone seems to be going, oh, that it must be someone you care about. And it's like, well, no, as pointed out in Volume 3, it could be the person who's in the middle of murdering you. It's just whoever you're thinking of, which is quite possibly the thing presently distracting you. And so, like, Yang even has this moment talking with Raven of, like, oh, she must have trusted you and cared about you, and Cinder did this in the previous episode, and it's like, well, no, you're just the person stabbing them to death. Like,
yeah, Yeah, I was curious if Cinder did die, if Ruby would then inherit the power, because it's like, oh, I didn't get to like, murder Ruby. Oh wait, shit, I'm thinking about Ruby now. Then that happens.
Yeah, like
so I feel like at some point the
who
main
is
four are
Cinder
gonna get all
thinking
the
about in a
powers.
moment of death, presuming she does get killed? Because it's probably either Raven, who probably can't inherit double powers,
That would be,
or Ruby.
Mm-hmm. I think
Probably not Salem, and as much as I'm sure Emerald would like it to be, probably not Emerald.
Definitely not Emerald. Yeah, I feel like it would be almost 100% Ruby, but I do feel like at some point the main four are going to have the maiden powers.
I mean, that kind of seems to be... I mean, that's like plot armor. You're just like, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really like the way Yang is interacting with everybody now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the new Yang just continues to be so great.
And, like, there was this one moment here where Raven does this, like, overdramatic speech of, I did what was necessary, and Yang's just like, oh, shut up!
Yeah.
That made me very happy.
Mm. And I feel like throughout this whole thing, and by the end of it, Raven's starting to think, it's like, maybe I'm not, like, as strong as I thought I was, like...
I mean, she kind of starts
emotionally.
recognizing that she's just a coward in the situation as well, and Yang is oddly circling her, but whatever.
Yeah.
I do have one question here. Like, why are we taking the relic? Why don't we just close the door? Only the Spring Maiden can open the door. It seems pretty safe in this alternate dimension.
Yeah.
Why don't we just close the door? Can we close the door? Is the door now broken? Is that why we have to take the relic? But just close the fucking door.
Well, was it the plan to get the relics from Ozpin's group? I can't remember what they were, because I remember they were talking about the relics.
We
and
all
such.
talked about that only the maiden can access the relic, and Salem wants it, and we've got a maiden here who's now, showing remorse. Just close the fucking door!
Mm-hmm. I feel like Ozpin would want it at this point, because it's like, to do something? I don't know.
We're trying to keep it from Salem. Just close the goddamn door.
Maybe he's like, maybe it's finally time to use these to like mount a counter.
I don't know. That sounds like one of these bad.
Maybe they can't
plans.
close the door. Maybe you're right. Maybe they just can't close the door again.
That's a really dumb door.
Yeah.
How'd they set up the door in the first place?
We've established the old gods are not the most intelligent.
We're going to make a door that can only open. What?
That's what doors are for, duh. Why would you close the door?
Close the fucking door! I don't know.
Then Yang walks in and picks it up. It's a lampy thing.
I have so many questions about this moment. So this is the relic of knowledge, yes?
Yes.
So she walks in, and part of me sitting here going, it's a lamp, she's in the desert, there's a fucking Aladdin genie in here. But she walks in, she picks it up, and she immediately breaks down while it's sitting there glowing. Mm-hmm. Does the relic of knowledge, tell you things?
Kind of doubt it.
Has she, in this moment, telepathically learned something horrible? Because only she's holding it, and then she hands it off to Crow at the end of the volume, and he looks at it, and then he kind of goes, So it's like, what happens when you pick it up? Like, why did she choose that moment to break down?
Well, because that's when her mom... I just figured it because that's when her mom finally left.
Her mom had left prior to that, and then she went walking in.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know, really.
Like,
I was hoping
it was very much I got the relic, now I'm going to collapse and cry.
Yeah, I was hoping there was going to be, like, she would, like, as soon as she touched it, she would have some, like, revelation or something that we would see. It's like,
I'm wondering if she did, and we just didn't get to see or hear it.
Could be. I kind of doubt it, though, but... Yeah, I doubted that Raven was going to be the Spring Maiden, too, so I'm not great at predictions, apparently.
Or are we?
No, I'm not.
I don't know. I'll try.
So then, let's see where we're at now.
We're up to the point where Leo gets killed, which we kind of already talked about, because it was just like, whatever.
Yeah. Leo runs off. He meets a Grim that Salem was talking through that he's, like, way too scared about, and it's just like, dude, it's like a ball with a bunch of tentacles on it. You should be able to take that down, no problem.
And then Salem's watching from afar and just bored.
Yep. Which, I mean, yeah. She was probably expecting this at some point, so it's just like, yeah, dude, you suck.
Yeah, kill the red shirt.
Yep. And then we go back to where everyone's fighting at. Yang comes back up, and
Mercury, like, ineffectually punches the floor because he's mad. And then Emerald is heartbroken.
yes.
Tear.
Yeah, she freaked out super hard and then made the last bit of the intro come true, and she summoned a giant Salem for everybody.
Which I did not expect. That,
no,
like,
God,
and again, this is a conversation you and I had earlier of, you mentioned all of the pairings in the fight, and I very flippantly said, well, no, I mean, it's not like we're going to have a giant Salem encounter, and it's like, oh, well, apparently we did.
And it wasn't just a giant Salem, it was like a twisted version of her as well.
Yeah, it was almost like a Salem meets a Geist.
Yeah, pretty much. And that was the first time that the group has seen Salem in any way, shape, or form, which is really interesting.
And Emerald, who struggles to show a vision to more than one person at any given time, shows it to a whole fucking room and then passes out.
Super hard, yep.
Oh, yeah.
And then
everyone runs
the
away.
bad guys? Yeah, the bad guys run away, and they're just like, woo.
So I just want to point out that Mercury, Emerald, Adam, and Hazel all run off together, which officially, in my mind, now makes them team meh. Just saying. I just want everyone to recognize meh.
So then, I think it's Callie mentions that it's like, oh, the white thing or whatever group we're going to call it now is going to need a new leader. I'm like, could that be Blake?
I mean, she's very much implying that Gira needs to take over.
Yeah, which I was very sad about. I'm just kind of hoping, because, like, I think it'd be cool to have Blake, leading this,
I love Gira's voice actor, but I cannot hear his lines delivered without just hearing Father from Full Metal Alchemist, and it's like, yes. Humanity and fullness will work together to build a new brotherhood, and it's like, just stop, just stop. Like, I can't do this.
I watched the Japanese version of that, so I don't have that.
Watch the dub version, and you'll just be sitting there shaking your head the entire time, because it's.
See, now I'm gonna have it flipped though. I'm gonna be like, oh, that's just Gira. Like,
there you go. I mean, we got the Elric brothers in one corner arguing with each other, and Father in another, over dramatically narrating the point, and it's like, okay.
So then we have the whole, like, thing. Yang didn't tell anybody that Raven's the Spring Maiden, at least didn't tell them yet.
Not yet, yeah.
She definitely knows now. And then we have, like, the
official team reunion.
Official reunion that's just, like, Blake and Yang staring at each other, and it's like, it's good to have you back, I guess. I mean, Yang is, like, throughout the entire scene, it was, like, pretty tense because Yang was kind of, like, looking away and not, like, super happy and stuff. But then it just immediately just, like, snaps to just, like, okay, yeah, it's fine, I guess. And it's like,
I did like the staging of it, though, because it's just it's the opposite of the Volume 3 opening.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the Volume 3 opening ends with the girls all sitting on the floor back to back looking away from each other, and then we kind of have the complete reverse of that, of them huddled together in, like, a group hug.
Yeah.
Like, I like the imagery of that.
Definitely.
But again, this was very much a lacking reunion after all.
Yeah, I was really hoping Yang would be just, like, say anything, and I'm sure that it's going to be coming, and maybe Yang was just like, now's not the time, we'll just, like, accept this, and then we can, have our fight later.
Or the magic lamp talked to her, and now she has other fish to fry.
It's like, man, I was really pissed off at you, but magic lamp just kind of changed everything.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, XYZ. It's like, oh well, I don't really have time to be mad at Blake right now, so we're just gonna drop this.
Yeah. And then Oscar is like, hey, Osmond said to take the lamp to Atlas, and then he passed out. So that's where we're going next volume. So we're going to see more of the world, which is awesome.
There you go.
A really good amount of Mistral over the last couple of volumes here. And now we're going to go see Atlas. More of Atlas than just like a couple rooms in a mansion.
Atlas, where the borders are shut down, and
and Ironwood's
who knows
out.
what Ironwood is up to.
Oh boy.
And we'll get to see.
Especially now that Osmond is back too. Osmond's not going to be very happy.
Oh yeah.
And neither is Ironwood.
And I mean, frankly, Atlas will have no idea that all this just went down in Haven.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, nobody does really.
Exactly, because CC's still down.
Yep. It's like Mistral will know eventually, and then all Menageries there already apparently.
Yeah.
So they all know.
But it's not like Atlas is terribly going to care about Menagerie's opinion.
No, certainly not. And with that, we have the end of the chapter, except for the post-credit scene, which is
flawless line delivery by Bernie. Just stunning. I mean, that's his Emmy-nominated performance right there.
But someone actually pointed out that the last 3 volumes or 4 volumes have the ending stingers were with the Branwyn twins. So that's interesting. Yeah. It's not really anything like, does that mean something? It's like, that's just something interesting.
I like to think that Raven shows up and talks to Ty and they just have like a really awkward conversation. It just makes me happy.
Over some tea. Yeah. That'll be...
Oh my god, I want that. Ty making tea and Raven just being like, thank you.
But then Ty poisons the tea, which kills
No,
Raven,
Ty doesn't poison the tea.
And then Raven transfers her power to Yang.
No! Get out!
The madness has started from...
This is why we can't have nice things. We're already in the hiatus.
Yes, exactly.
I would like the fan art of Ty and Raven sitting down for like the most uncomfortable cup of tea, but I do not want one of them to have poisoned the other.
Yes, no, that'd be a little fucked up. And there you go. That's it. So as far as predictions and stuff go, theories, I don't really have any. I'm just looking forward to Volume 6 and very curious to see what we're going to see. And
I hope we get to see Winter again. I was actually rather disappointed that we didn't see her this volume.
Mm-hmm. I was a little bit as well, and I can't imagine that we're going to Atlas and we're not going to see all the Atlas folks.
And especially with kind of that looming question from earlier in the volume of, was a ransom ever sent out for Weiss?
Mm-hmm. Probably not. I mean, if it was, they probably forgot about it.
Maybe. But it has also been approximately 2 months since Weiss went AWOL and broke out of Schnee headquarters.
Oh, yeah, that's
whatever.
True. Yeah, because she was supposed to stay there, and we
Yeah.
haven't really. So we're gonna get back, and Jacques is gonna be like freaking out.
So surely Jacques noticed at some point that she was gone.
Yes.
But what's been happening since then? Because just like Atlas doesn't know what happened in Haven, we have no idea what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. So we'll say, I think I've said this before, but what I'd really like to happen going forward in the next volume or two is Blake becoming the leader of the new White Fang-esque group, and Weiss taking her role as leader of the Shanita's company. Because it'd be really cool to have our main characters be like heads of these really powerful organizations.
I can't see Blake taking over just yet. Like, my guess is her dad's going to take over and she's going to stick with Team RWBY for a bit just because, plot.
Yeah.
Now,
both of those
I'm
things
not running away anymore.
Yeah. Both of those things, which is what we're going to. Both of those things will probably happen like after this series is over and after.
Yeah, that's like the series ends and we do that moment of like, where are they now in 10 years? Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, Blake is running this human faunus whatever council.
Mm-hmm.
Bah, bah, bah.
Well, do you have any predictions or theories you'd like to share?
All definitely in the 10-year later thing, Yang has opened a weapons store that she calls the Armory.
Oh no.
Sorry, I just thought of that. It's like, that's that would be fun.
If anybody's going to open a weapon shop, it'd be RWBY, though, let's be honest.
No. Because, right, if she does, she let Yang name it, and it's called the Armory.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Oh yeah. Somebody don't steal that joke. We gotta send that to Barbara. But anyway, so I think that'll do it. Yeah. Don't have anything else. So
nothing terribly concrete.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have my usual rampant speculation, but that's whatever.
Time perhaps. So yes, thank you all so much for joining us throughout this volume, and sorry that we weren't able to get these out on time as it was coming out like the rest of it. But I hope that you have all enjoyed this and the rest of all of these, and if you have enjoyed, then maybe we'll do it for next volume as well. Let us know in the comments. And that will do it for RWBY Volume 5. RWBY Volume 6 hype. Bye!
Hype! Bye!